all through the weekend. Now, youth is, of course, a bit of an obvious topic when it comes to the Balkans. The Balkans are one of the youngest regions of the continent and one that is full of energy and potential for innovation and change. And when I say innovation, I mean, of course, policy, I mean perhaps also technology, but mainly I mean the way things are done. And that's what we're going to talk about over the next 45 minutes. My name is Olaf Bruns, and I'm going to lead you to this 45 minutes of debate. We also have a cartoonist for those who join us now. For those who have seen the other debates, you already know we have a cartoonist who's working while we are debating and drawing cartoons, commenting the debate, and we're going to show these cartoons every now and then. But before we introduce the speakers, we start with a video that we have prepared for you.
Hello everyone, my name is Bojana Lolatovic. I'm young European ambassador of Montenegro, and I also work in the Regional Youth Cooperation Office. This organization supports various cross-border intercultural youth exchange projects. My message to young people in the Western Balkans is that if you want to see a brighter future for all of us, you need to get involved. You need to get outside of your bubble and try out as many opportunities offered by the European Union, such as Erasmus Plus program, COSME, Interreg, and many others.
Самиот проект Стартап Академија има можност на секој еден учесник да му даде нешто кое што досега можеби и го немал во себе, односно да го открие тоа што сите ние заедно го развивме. Начинот на кој што беа создадени едни од најголемите идеи кои што веќе се на чекор до реализација покажува само колку таквите проекти се потребни во нашето општество, не само во Македонија и Бугарија, туку и многу пошироко на Балканот. Заврши проектот Стартап Академија, сите ние како учесници можеме слободно да кажеме дека беше проект кој што ќе остане долго во нашето сеќавање. Не заради самото тоа што бевме сплотени, разговаравме, развивавме идеи и учевме како да создадеме бизнис план, туку заради самиот момент во кој што сите ние заедно се дружевме, работевме и тимски успеавме да изградиме одлични бизнис планови кои што придонесува дури до ден денес да останеме во добри пријателски односи. Заедно со нашите пријатели од Бугарија, со кои што дури до ден денес разговараме и имаме можност повторно да се работуваме и на други проекти заедно, согледувајќи различни можности и креирајќи нови идеи за понатамошна соработка која што би можело да прерасне и во нешто кое што е меѓугранично.
And before I introduce the speakers, one word to all of them. We have 40 minutes left for this debate. There's 5 participants. I let you do the math yourself. It's short, so I might interrupt you. I ask you all to be concise in your answers, which doesn't mean that you only have to answer with one sentence. You can develop your thoughts, but I might cut you every now and then. And this is just to make space for everybody. We have, let me come to the participants. We have already seen Bojana in the introduction video, but we also have Donna Striki Lazarevska, who is a young European ambassador from North Macedonia, who wrote that she is interested in political science, gender equality and the environment, which are of course already some of the topics that we have debated in the previous debates and which we might come to in this debate. We have Boris Lalic, who is a writer and a journalist from Sarajevo. Welcome to you also. We have Tony Yakimovsky, a communications officer of the Interreg cross-border cooperation program, Bulgaria and North Macedonia. Welcome to you. We have Jean-Pierre Alquin. For those who have already been in this debate today, you already know him, but for those who are new, I say because I have exercised this. He is a head of unit for the macro regions at the Directorate General for Regional and I'm losing it, and urban policy at the European Commission. Welcome to you. I'm saying this for the third time today, and I'm losing it. And we have already seen in the video Bojana Lalatovic, a young European ambassador from Montenegro, with degrees in law and political science, and an interest you wrote in youth activism. Now, Bojana, I would like to just take you up on that word. Youth. What is youth activism exactly for you? Why is it important, and what are the important topics?
First of all, thank you for the introduction. Esteemed speakers, dear peers, it's my great honor to be addressing you today, and it's outstanding that we have opportunity to discuss about such an important topic such as youth in the context of the Western Balkans. For me, youth activism is actually ability to create societies that are tailored to young people's needs in the Western Balkans and elsewhere in the world, and to make our society more tolerant and more prosperous, and in general, far way better than we are used to in the Western Balkans.
Well, that's what we're hoping for, better societies, and that is probably not something that only applies to the Western Balkans, but for the whole rest of the continent too. And may I just ask you to be a bit more specific? What are the topics you're busy with, and how does your youth activism take shape actually?
Sure. So I'm contributing to building a better future for the Western Balkans youth by my daily involvement in the Regional Youth Cooperation Office. And this organization is supporting various cross-border intercultural youth exchange projects. And basically, what is the RICO added value in the context of our region is that we are kind of going beyond the usual suspects. So we are trying to reach out youngsters who are normally not involved in these regional opportunities. So those are the youngsters belonging to marginalized groups such as LGBTIQ, then youth coming from rural areas, also youth that are kind of coming from unprivileged economic conditions. And so we are giving them chance to get involved, to feel the spirit of youth activism, and to feel empowered to contribute to daily changes in their own communities. Also, what RICO is doing is that it gives to youngsters opportunity to be involved in decision-making processes. And I would say that our key body is our governing board, where young people are acting on an equal footing with the government representatives. And basically, we are jointly with them taking the most important strategic decisions on behalf of RICO. So this is a truly an exceptional and sui generis way of involving young people, not only in the Western Balkans, but I would say also wider in the Europe. And so we are kind of really bringing that fresh air into politics, into daily lives of young people in the Western Balkans. And I'm really privileged to be a part of such a beautiful mission such as RICO.
Now, I think getting young people specifically into the decision-making processes, I think this is really a key element already. May I just move on to Boris? Youth activism for you is what does that mean? What's important in it?
Hello to all. For me, youth activism, on the first place, means to, as a young person, you should fight for your right to do what you think that is good, something like that.
How are you doing that?
Me personally, sorry if I make some mistakes in my English. It's not perfect.
Don't worry at all.
Me
We're
personally,
not in English class here. We're about exchanging
okay.
experience. Really, this is the least worry you need to have.
In my experience, what have I done was I just published my books without waiting for anybody to give me a help of that. And that's what I do. That's what people, that is why I'm, let's say, known in my society because of that.
Boris, as a writer, do you write fiction?
Uh, I write a fiction, but I'm trying to say something about real world with that fiction.
Could you say a couple of words about your writer activity? What are the topics?
Uh,
How do you get into a story? How do you get readers into a story?
yeah. First of all, I have a master degree in comparative literature. That's the where I get the knowledge about literature. And also, I didn't study just about how to write or a history of literature. I also study life of writers and the life of books, let's say like that. So I just see a space for me, let's say easiest way, how can I make what I want without people above my head. And I think we live in a time that give us chances to do what we want with the internet and stuff like that. I published 5 books, sell it in almost 10,000 copies. That's it.
Thank you very much. Donna, youth activism, for you, what stands central? I can't see you, can't hear you. Donna, can you hear me? I think your sound is cut off. Just give it a try. No, Donna, we can't hear you. We still can't hear you. Okay, I try to come back to you a bit later. Or is there's some sound coming now? No, it's not. Going to Jean-Pierre, Bojana has mentioned several EU programs and recommended young people to take part in them. I think that there is a spirit. These young people really need the EU to give them a push. What can the EU do actually?
Yes, thank you. I was first delighted to listen to the contribution made. It's so motivating and inspiring. What can the EU do beyond what we do today? So first of all, there is an increased awareness that the ambition we have is really to change the world with the European Green Deal, with the transition to the digital economy. What we are proposing is to create a new world, a new economy for the next generation. And so certainly there is a strong awareness that we need to take young people on board. And we also hear that they want to be there with a constructive approach. So what are we doing to them? We are doing many things. First of all, in the Interreg programs, and in particular the one operating in the Balkans, there are many what we call people-to-people initiatives. This is what we've seen. And if we use the image that young people can create a bubble somewhere, we help connecting the bubbles across the countries and across the regions, both in the European Union and in the Balkans. The second thing we really strive to do is also to provide those young people an opportunity to take part to the governance, to take part to the decision-making process, again in a constructive manner, and I think that they are really up to the challenge.
Jean-Pierre, there's one thing that strikes me when I speak to young people from the Balkans, is that I hear positive expectation, I hear enthusiasm about the European Union. I hear that much more than in those countries that are already part of the European Union. Is that a feeling that you share? And I bounce that question a little bit back. How to increase youth engagement within the European Union?
That's a very tricky question. first, what I share is certainly that the commitment of young people who are living around the European Union for the values of the European Union are much higher than what we can sometimes see within, and notably in what we call the old member states. And I think also it's because there are some values like democracy, the right to speak, the right to take initiative, the importance of tackling environmental matters to breathe clean air that they've been addressed for years and are as considered as granted in some EU member states and are still considered as a great achievement and way forward in the countries around the EU. The second is that certainly for those countries joining the EU remains a goal, and we are very pleased to see that this is very popular, and we are making sure that we are communicating on the added value of joining the EU. Now, for what we can do within the European Union, that's certainly something I'm not expert in, but my assessment is that young people are taking care of this very well. What I see for the program we have part in the EU is that now we see that young people, they are not anymore in the contestation as maybe it was the case years ago, but they are very much in a constructive approach in order to bring their contribution to the progress and push us to go faster, to go further, to be bolder, to be more ambitious. But I think that they take care of this. And we are certainly now, with all the tools we have, with the social media, things like that, we are now in a position also to take them on board much better and to listen to them better also.
Sylvia, thank you very much. Let's try to go back to Donna and see if we can hear her now. Donna, there is still a problem with the sound. I was asking about what stands central for you in youth activism, but I don't think I can hear you. Could we just another try? Just give it a try. No, apparently you can hear me, but we unfortunately can't hear you. I'll leave this with the technicians and you to sort that out, and hopefully we're getting you back in a while back into this debate. Tony, you are working for another project. Could you tell us what you're busy with?
Hi to everyone. My name is Tony Akimovsky and I am Communication Officer in Interreg IPA Cross-Border Cooperation Program between the Republic of Bulgaria and the Republic of North Macedonia. And our program in the programming period 2014-2020 financed over 70 projects. One of these projects is we see in a video. But unfortunately, the program does not cover the specific axis youth, but covers the specific axis environment, tourism, and competitiveness. And we always find a way to finance youth-related projects and support young people. This is also the case with this project, and it is financed through the specific axis competitiveness. This is very good, very sympathetic project, for my opinion, because it's implemented young people who wants to development. This project development young entrepreneurship to foster the generation of startups, which could help improve the competitiveness of the regional economy. And many young people from both countries it's working to his business ideas and startups. To make a short video which presented this business ideas. It's, for my opinion, the project is very interesting for me because the planned and realized activities contributes to the young people from both countries to show and realize their business ideas, because there are young people who need the help in terms of the education and training, as well as gaining knowledge through the experience of older people.
Now, I would like to take you up on this specific issue of the environment, because previously we had another debate, I don't know if you've seen it, on the environment, where several young people were saying that the environment specifically is something where the need for education is not so much a need for educating the young people because they know about it. It's rather young people who would need to educate the older ones because they don't get the environmental topic. Now, Tony, I just wanted to ask you, if you work on the environment in this project, do you sense a bigger sensitivity of young people too?
Yes, of course. Maybe my opinion is it's very important young activism, because in one way, older people to give young people the opportunity to express selves, to express these needs, desires, knowledge, but and in same time, young people give to older generation something new, something fresh, and something enthusiastic. Maybe older people when we will be young people.
If I may go back to Boris, as a writer, well, not only as a writer, as a person, would you agree that the environmental topic is something which young people in your region, but more globally also, have a bigger sensitivity to, and it could be something where the education effort would rather go the other way round? Boris.
I think that issue is very important, and also I know in my country the young people are one that is the biggest force that do the efforts in that way. So I think that is something that we need, but I coming from the country where we have so much bigger problems that environment is just let's say far away on the side.
Which are the biggest subjects to work on in your country?
uh, these days, in my country, politicians talk about new war. uh, they they don't do anything for a pandemic stuff and like that, and in that atmosphere I think it's hard to think about anything else.
Sure, sure, fully understandable. I think we have Dona back now. Dona, we tried again. My question was, in youth activism, what is central for you? What are the important topics?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay. Thank you very much. I tried my phone. I don't know what actually happened to my laptop. It used to work perfectly previously. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to speak again. For me, youth activism actually, I believe that the term youth activism explains it itself. Basically, for me, it is the ability of young people to act on certain questions where they want to see changes in the society. And as you mentioned previously, when you were introducing us, you mentioned that as a young European ambassador, I am active in the fields of environment and gender equality. So basically, even before I became a young European ambassador, these were the topics where I was active. And I believe that there are many ways, especially today with all the possibilities of the technology and the internet. I believe that there are many ways for young people to be active and to be able to see the change in the fields where they want to see change, because as cliche as it may sound, the future is on the young people, and I believe that young people are those who should shape that future.
Exactly. Now, concretely, what are you doing? What are you busy with? What is your activity as a young European ambassador?
Well, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, everything that we do and everything that we have done so far is only based on online activism. So basically, we are starting campaigns to raise awareness in my fields about climate change, of course. And environment only isn't only about climate change and about global warming, but for an example, here in the Western Balkans, we are aware that we have air pollution and water pollution on high levels. So basically, we are trying to raise awareness and we are trying to make governments act on those questions, adopt laws that will help us overcome those problems, etc. And regarding gender equality, also we had event that was organized by young European ambassadors where we tried to show that unfortunately we still have a very huge gap between male and female, not only in financial but also in social everyday lives. So basically, by trying to raise this awareness, we are also trying to make the governments act on these questions too, whereby adopting laws maybe they will make it illegal for such gaps between males and females.
Now, Boris just mentioned already the pandemic. You mentioned the pandemic too, and Boris also mentioned that in this context of huge problems, thinking, for example, of the environment can, at least to some people in some countries, be a sort of a luxury problem, if I may phrase that like that. So, how does the pandemic, I mean, beyond how it makes your activism difficult, how does the pandemic affect young people in general in your country and in the broader region?
I believe that young people are actually the most affected by this pandemic. First of all, I would say educational. As much as our governments are trying to, in a way, continue with the education as normal as possible, I have to disagree that online and offline education is the same. I believe that maybe this is not something that we can see now, but in the future, I believe that these couple of years where children were educated online will have a lot of consequences. I believe that the pandemic also has a very great impact on the social life of young people because of course, young people are those who are now building their social lives, and I believe that they're taking this pandemic. They're most affected by this pandemic because of that.
I fully understand you, and I mean, this festival is, of course, not by far not as important as education, but already we feel it here. I mean, we would like to do this live. We would like to organize a music festival on stage. Same question a little bit to Bojana. The pandemic for young people in general, but also for you personally, what has changed and how to get over this?
I think that there is one more important aspect and the consequence not only of the pandemic but of the overall online world.
Anna, may I just interrupt you? Would you be able to speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
I think so.
Yeah, great. So basically, when we are talking about these new circumstances and the impact of the pandemic on the overall functioning of the societies, but also its impact on the youth, I would say that I think that young people on the internet are really exposed to different sort of things that wasn't the case before. For instance, we are now witnessing the researches that are showing high level of hate speech that youngsters are exposed to. I think also that this uncontrolled sphere is also kind of raising some other trends, such as raising of level of ethnocentrism that is present in our societies that are not really kind of successfully dealing with this burden of war that happened during 90s, and that we are now seeing bigger and bigger divisions that are spreading all over the internet. And I think that youngsters could be kind of easily impacted by this sort of narratives that are all over there.
But yeah, may I just interrupt you on this, because this is something which is probably outside the Balkans not that much known, but what particularly do you refer to to this ethnocentrism increasing effect of the internet? What is going on currently?
So basically, when I'm referring to this, yeah, I'm just calling upon all the legacy that we are, as young people, are kind of having burden of this legacy after the wars that happened during 90s. And so by reiterating that youngsters are exposed to these sort of negative narratives or kind of ethnocentric speeches by, I don't know, political elites, by their peers who are kind of indoctrinated by different sort of these narratives. I think it's very bad for, in general, building a democratic and tolerant society, and that youngsters should be actually the drivers of positive changes, and that they should promote topics such as activism, such as having a better environment than like fighting for gender equality and all these relevant topics, not to be kind of entrapped with these kind of negative sentiments and narratives that are spreading all over the internet nowadays.
Thank you very much. Going back to Boris, because he mentioned the internet also, but rather, Boris, as something that gives opportunity. Where would you like strike the balance between what the internet brings in terms of opportunities and in terms of risks, threats?
I think there is a here in Bosnia we have a, let's say, like the big danger is coming from internet. It's coming from disinformations that is spreaded around, also from politicians that didn't act good in this pandemic. They do a lot of criminal stuff, and every time in my country where there is a serious problem, politicians start to talk about war. So I think the young people getting really worried because of this social media and stuff they see there. So a lot of young people just trying to escape somewhere. They watch movies, listen music, watch TikTok and stuff like that. And programs for youth people that they can participate, like let's say to have something from that participating. Uh, it is not available for the people who don't know good English, and I think it's the small circle where it's everything going on that coming like let's say positive,
Boris, maybe
and this
something
negative cheap stuff is
yeah, but Boris,
growing up.
maybe something you alluded to, which is this constant speaking of war. This is probably something which is not that much known outside Bosnia. So could you explain a little bit what is going on in this kind of this discussion, and how is this threat, this permanent threat of war used in the debate in the political sphere in Bosnia?
I think here the whole country have a PTSD. That's the syndrome that you get after the war, and the politicians are just surfing on that waves, to stay forever on the top. Right now, there was a story about non-paper document that shows the future borders of Bosnia. It's the story from the bloody story from the 90s. That's have a like the new part in a
Which is 30
new
years ago and
party.
is still dragging on.
It's dragging on all the time. Never stopped for these years.
Because you would say it's a politically convenient thing to use, and you can always talk about ethnic divisions, you can always talk about war, and you can not talk about the real issues. Is that
Yeah,
do I understand you right?
that is how our politicians do their job. So I think the most of young people just looking how to escape from here.
Just zoom out of this reality. May I bring Tony back into the debate? Youth and internet is a topic now and has been a topic in other debates already. Is this something you're working on? Is this something that is relevant to you?
I can hear you. Please repeat
I was
questions.
saying youth and internet with all its opportunities, but also with all the risks in terms of disinformation, in terms of abuse, and so on, is an important topic in this debate, but also in previous debates already. And I was wondering if your project, or if this is somehow a topic in your work and project.
Yes. In my point of view, maybe internet is possibility because this COVID situation limited the ability to communicate in the cross-border region, the inability to travel from one to other country to meet young people or other. Come to a possibility to implemented ideas, implemented project or something. But in COVID situation, only internet is a possible way to communicate and doing some good for our citizen. Because in the future we can provide the capacity to either integration of Balkan countries into the family of European countries, because some of the Balkan countries are still part of European Union, but not all. And the level of development that each of us, our citizen, wants to be part of Europe. The situation in the territory where our program operates in the cross-border region is exactly like that. One country is a member of European Union and other is a candidate for membership. Regardless of the problem, the occasional mutual misunderstanding, history, speech of hate of politician and other citizens, low level of economic and other development, we should still try to overcome all that in the future to realize our European dreams that will part of the life of today's young people and all citizens in Balkan countries.
Now, Jean-Pierre, perhaps a question to you. The internet, we basically have this strange type of life now where we shifted all our lives into the internet, but which has, as Tony just said, many opportunities, many good aspects, and there's loads of advantage to be taken out of it. But it also exposes people to and specifically weak and fragile people, to a lot of risks. Is the internet as a specific topic part of your work when well, the European Union, I said that general, and in general, I know you in more specific structures, but when working with youth, is the internet, with its opportunities, but also with its risks, an issue for you?
Yes, thank you. You are touching a very important point.
Jean-Pierre, may I just interrupt you? Jean-Pierre, your voice is very low. Could you either could you put a headphone on? Maybe that makes it better.
Good, but then come back to me in 1 minute. I reconnect with my headphone in 1 minute. Is it all right? Or not?
It is connected. You just like switch it. We hear the sound through it.
Yes, and is it better
Yes,
like
wonderful.
this? Excellent. So,
The internet.
you were speaking about the danger or the difficulties of working with internet. There were already some points that have been addressed, is that for sure it allows us to pass some important messages, which are the messages and the values of the European Union, but at the same time there are also other channels passing other messages and also sometimes fake news. So the point is really to, whenever we work with young people, to always make sure that the good messages are reaching them, but also we have the privilege to work also with highly educated person, but to make sure that we can help to debunk the fake news. And there are so many fake news about the European Union. What our goal is that it is quite some work. The second part, which is, I believe, missing really with internet, is the possibility to be together in the same room. And we are missing the energy that is coming out of those meetings. I've been attending the Forum of the Strategies. I've been attending, for instance, last year, the Week of Macro-Regional Strategies. We did it again in virtual mode. When people are in the same room, they feel the energy. They also look at each other. They have coffee break conversation. And what you get out of such an event is much higher than just by looking at a screen. And I think this is also something important whenever we want to build a community of persons who are wishing to work together and address a common goal. So those are, for me, two important elements to take into account in today's life.
What I like about this debate is that what you're just mentioning is how poor this experience is for us. And we basically what you're describing is not only the conferences you've been to, but it's this festival too. And for us, of course, for this debate, it can only be poorer than a real life experience in a real room. But then we try to make our best out of it, and I think it's going quite well. Well, tap, tap, tap on my own shoulder. Boris was mentioning this topic of there's so many problems that young people, there's some young people who go into activism, but there's many other people who just like switch off and like flee into other into films, into divertisement, because what can you do? Bojana, is this a topic that is relevant, disinterest, and how like to get people out of this feeling of powerlessness?
Yeah, I think there are at least two important actors that can contribute to kind of empowering young people to feel that they are able to change the things, to feel that they are able to influence. And I think this potential has a formal education system. I think that formal education system in Western Balkans as well as in the Europe, I think can do a lot more in terms of empowering and kind of inspiring young people to get engaged, to create societies that are tailored to their needs. And the second important actor, I would say, is media, because by promoting positive examples of young people who are active and who manage to create some wonderful things, media can inspire the rest of their peers to try out and to be successful and to feel that power of changing the things.
Thank you very much. Donna, I would like to ask you a little bit of the same question. How to fight against this sense of powerlessness?
Well, I have to agree here with Bojana. First of all, the education, of course, is very important, and the media as the biggest information transfers in the modern society. But I would also just like to add the social media here. For an example, if I take our program, We Balkans and Young European Ambassadors, and as an example, I believe that, as I already mentioned previously, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, mostly we are only active online. And I believe that when many young people who are active on the social media, when they see that we can actually make positive changes, and when they see these positive examples, I believe that, for an example, on the next call for young European ambassadors, maybe we will have much more interested young people than we did have. For an example, for the first call, when people, and especially young people, still didn't know what it was. So we as young people can maybe use the social media mostly to promote these positive examples, and we can hope that we will attract as many young people as possible.
Thank you very much. Boris, is this a satisfying answer to what you mentioned?
Sorry, I have a little problem with my earphone. Can you
Boris,
just please
I was
repeat?
just asking, I basically took your question and addressed it to several of the speakers. I was just wondering if this is a satisfying assessment from their side to you. You mentioned this example of the feeling of powerlessness and how people turn away basically from social interest. And now Dona and Bojana have mentioned some very concrete examples how you actually can go into society and you can make things happen. I was just wondering if this is a satisfying answer to you.
You know, to be honest, because of these war stories, nothing is satisfies to me right now.
I believe you living under this constant threat, or at least
Yeah.
in this constant atmosphere, makes it
Yeah,
very,
I just
very
thinking
difficult.
about will it happen, you know.
Sure, of course, I fully understand. I close this way with the last question, maybe to Bojana, because you mentioned also getting people involved in decision-making processes. Is this decision-making processes within your organization, or is this, well, shifting them up in getting people involved into political decision-making processes?
I would say both, because if we, for instance, have organizations that are dealing with youth-related issues, we for sure need to have young people involved in the highest decision-making bodies in order to influence and to create opportunities that are tailored to young people's needs. And when it comes to politics, although youngsters from the Western Balkans in general are a bit skeptical when it comes to getting involved in the politics, I would say that it is also important because it's the only way you can influence the things on the states level. So yeah, I would say both.
Thank you very much, and I have to conclude it here because our time is already running out. But I think that was at least, well, slightly hopeful and positive, optimistic, but perhaps word to end without denying all the problems that are around. A very, very, very warm thank you to all participants, and thank you for sharing your experiences and your opinions. You see already online in the picture the drawing of our in-house artist who has been accompanying these debates, and this is what she made out of this debate. And what to say, there is a next debate in 45 minutes, more specifically about the activism side of youth activism. So it's a follow-up on this debate. And these debates are supported by the European Union and are part of the Balkan Trafik Festival, which goes on until Sunday online on balkantrafik.com. Have a look and enjoy the festival. I'm signing off here. My name is Olaf Bruns. I was happy to lead you through this 5 debates. See you soon.